that is the senior scientist in Kazri. Or the topic of this lecture is vegetable grafting, a boom technology in boosting Indian vegetable industry, because that is also a good future for entrepreneurship, because most of the seed is grown and taking the all the protected cultivation vegetables. So that is and some I have read the biodata of Dr. Pardeep Kumar. Dr. Pardeep Kumar is working as a senior scientist at ICR Kajri Jodhpur, that is the ICR center, and he is recipient of Netaji Subhash Chandra ICR International Fellow for doing PhD from University of Tuscinia, Italy, where he acquired the knowledge and skill in research area like vegetable grafting. Because in India, that is the very lacking problem of this vegetable grafting, most of the grown through seed. So that is the new area, and to tackle the abiotic stresses, because abiotic is the major problem for this growing of this vegetable grafting. So with a great relevance today era, so he developed the better understanding on protected cultivation and hydroponics, and he's completed a MSc in horticulture from BHU Varanasi, then BSc from NDUAT Ayodhya Faizabad, and Dr. Kumar has working for last 16 years on vegetable grafting and protected cultivation. So he is working on this area and are workfully at national and international level as depicted by his excellent publication and his deliberation a lead presentation in various conference and act as a member of many scientific committee in international symposia. Then he is member of different technical committee on protected cultivation. Then he's run a dedicated WhatsApp group on protected cultivation, and he contributes as editorial board of many international journals like Frontier in Plant Science, then Progressive Horticulture, then Scholar Report, then Popular Kheti. And besides this, have taken many Mark visited to 7 countries, and for his contribution, he adorned with 2 Young Scientist Award, 2 Best Publication Award, and several oral and poster presentation award. He has published around 60 to 70 publication in national and international journal, and many other achievements also there due to the very less time. So I request to Dr. Pardeep Kumar to start your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Shravan Haldar, for inviting me in the given short time. It's a really wonderful opportunity to interact with the students and some of the participants who are also from academics or research, and some of the young entrepreneurs, and which I requested Dr. Haldar to please allow them to also participate in this. And he is a very kind person, and he's a good friend of mine, of course, because we work in the same. Earlier, he was posted at CIS Bikaner, which is an ICR institute, and I'm located at Jodhpur at Central Agricultural Research Institute. So quite often we used to meet for one or another reason. So anyways, thank you, Dr. Haldar, and the other faculty members from the university. And my talk is on vegetable grafting, and which is a new dimension in the field of vegetable production. Although grafting is well known for centuries, and it has been practiced in fruits and some other ornamentals, but in vegetable it's a relatively new area. Particularly in Indian context, it is in infancy stage. So we all know the significance of vegetable, and we really realize their significance in present pandemic scenario. Everybody is now talking about having good quality fruits and vegetables, particularly vegetables, because they are powerhouse of protective nutrients by providing vitamins, minerals, fibers, antioxidants, and which are deficient in major food crops which we do eat. Coming to the scenario of vegetable production, if we see the national vegetable production scenario, so every year there is an increase in the production. And this production is basically coming from the increase in area, not actually the productivity. So which is of major concern today is how to produce vegetable or any other crop sustainably without continuous increasing or depending on the area expansion. So we have now scientists, researchers are focusing towards this particular area, how to increase the production per unit area. Today's this current scenario for productivity is that is 17.3 to 3 or 5 tons per hectare at national level, whereas the world average is 19.5 tons. So we are lagging behind. And if we compare from China, that is again 22.5 tons per hectare. And within the country, we have a range like 9.7 tons per hectare from in the Rajasthan and 24 tons per hectare in Tamil Nadu and other, some other states here, nearly 23 to 24 tons. So, and if we compare with the other countries, we are the second largest producer of fruits and also the vegetables after China. China produces 61 million, means 61 million tons. So, it is not 60 tons, it is somewhere more. I think it's the data needs to be corrected. And let's see the productivity. There are many countries, like 88 countries which has more. It is just example of tomato. So it is, yes, 19 tons tomato we produce per hectare at the national level, and China produces 61 metric ton per hectare. And there are 88 countries which produce more than what in terms of productivity what they produce. And there are some countries where productivity is more than 10 times higher. There are 12 countries which produce 10 times more what we produce in per unit area, that is per unit hectare. And they are mostly these countries produce tomatoes under greenhouse condition. That is why the productivity is more than 10 times. So we can see from here itself that in protected conditions, we grow tomato or other, even cucumber. So we could, the production could range from 5 to 10 times what we produce in the open field condition. So what are the reasons of low productivity of vegetables, particularly in Indian context? There are several biotic factors. Biotic factors means the living organism, like whether it is fungi or bacteria or the viruses, and the most of them are caused by the soil-borne diseases. In vegetables, this is the major area. Soil-borne diseases are the severe problem, and followed by some foliar diseases like viruses caused by fungi, insects, pests, and the pathogens. Sometimes birds and animals also cause huge losses to the vegetable production and are of great concern on growers' point of view. Similarly, abiotic factors like a high temperature, salt stress, heat stress, cold stress, and the excess or poor radiation, like during summer in many parts of the country, we have a very intense or excess solar radiation that is also damaging to the photosynthesis process, thereby resulting in a poor yield. Then unusual rainfall, hailstorm, and flood-like situation in many parts of the country, coastal regions. Then nutrient stresses because of the poor nutritional status of the soil, poor nutrition, and also in the integration of the poor or abnormal climatic conditions. So what could be the strategy to cope up with these problems, or to increase vegetable production sustainably without increasing further the area? Just how we can increase the production in the already allotted area, because we cannot increase the area, keep on increasing the area. We also need to feed the people from the food grains. So then one strategy could be the developing cultivars which can tolerate biotic or abiotic stresses, So this is one, and the researches have been going on, but these require a long time to produce vegetable cultivars which are resistant to pathogens, diseases, and salt or other abiotic stresses. Then another approach could be grow vegetable crops under a protected environment, favorable environment, because we can protect crop from external factors, whether it is high wind velocity, rainfall, and heat waves, cold waves. So we can manipulate inside the growing condition to make favorable for the plant's growth. That is why plants are able to grow better and produce 5 to 10 times more. And if we talk of vertical farming, that is possible under protected environment, and we can increase the productivity per unit area, per unit time, and also per unit resources applied, whether it is water, that water saving could be achieved up to 90% under protected environment. And also the fertilizer use efficiency can be enhanced, manpower use efficiency, and so on. So if we talk of the cultivar development, this takes, because whether it is breeding or biotechnological approaches, these require significant times to bring a variety which is of desirable traits in terms of the horticultural traits and the traits which we require to enable plants to resist particular environmental conditions or resistant or tolerant to pathogens and the insects. These really take a long time because it is very difficult to combine the traits of two different objectives. One is the horticultural traits, that is of fruit quality or yield, and then the traits of high disease resistance. Usually there is an issue of integrating the traits of resistance and as well as the quality traits of fruit yield traits together. So fortunately, there is one mechanical tool or practice by which we can combine the characteristics of two different genotypes coming from different genetic background into one plant. For example, one tomato plant which is having good yield potential and with a superior fruit quality, but it is susceptible to certain diseases, fusarium wilt, verticillium wilt, or another disease, and maybe abiotic stress, like a high temperature. When we want to grow in the high temperature condition, it is not able to perform better. So we can grow these with the help of having plants, whether they are cultivated or of wild background, of tomato, any species like that. For example, Solanum turbam. Solanum turbam is resistant for different diseases, even nematodes and the abiotic stresses. And we can, with the help of vegetable grafting, we can harness the potential of the Solanum turbam by way of grafting, so that we could grow tomato successfully under growth limiting environment, whether it is soil-borne diseases or it is abiotic stress caused by the environment. Then here, just I want to show the left one is non-grafted and the right one is the grafted one. So we can increase the efficiency of grafted plants to perform better under adverse environmental condition. Going into the background of the vegetable grafting, the first instance of grafting, the commercial way of grafting, not the, actually there are in the literature, like coming from China and some other parts, where grafting was tried somehow in 500 AD, but the present form of grafting started in 1920s, and it was the farmer who first discovered its usefulness in vegetable, when he grafted watermelon onto squash, a pumpkin root system. He got control over Fusarium wilt disease, which is devastating disease under soil condition when you means farmers grow successive crop, means one crop after another vegetables, and they are particularly those farmers who have less area and they are bound to grow continuously vegetable because vegetables are profitable venture. And particularly in Japan and Korea where the area is limited, that is why the farmers, they used to grow vegetable after vegetable and they don't have really time to sterilize the soil. So they tried and they got success. Then extension persons, the researchers, they started doing research in this area and got the success. And here you can see the watermelon, the pumpkin, the grafted watermelon on the root system of pumpkin and got the success. The resulted plant was having the characteristics of producing good quality fruits, more yield, with having resistance to the soil-borne diseases, particularly Fusarium wilt. Actually, the major breakthrough came when the methyl bromide, which was highly carcinogenic, was banned, and methyl bromide is actually the most important fumigant, which completely eliminates fungi, bacteria, and nematodes from the soil, and it is highly dangerous. If someone, because in India we don't use, but in Europe and USA, it has been used at larger scale. And you can see how protective equipments are required to use this chemical. Even after the treatment, if somebody trespass from the area, and unfortunately the film cover is removed, then he could not survive if he crossed goes few hundred meters. It is so much toxic, the gas, methyl bromide. That is why it was banned, and then the researcher and farmers were looking at the sustainable solution. Otherwise, it was very difficult to grow vegetables, particularly under greenhouse condition where the very difficult to manage the soil-borne disease once it appears. And presently, around 30 countries are practicing this grafting technology, and the highest use is in East Asian countries, particularly in Japan and Korea. And the China is the leading one in terms of the number of plants used, grafted plants used. And around 100% watermelon in Japan, Korea, Spain, Italy, and Turkey, and Cyprus. Particularly the Mediterranean countries and the Japan and Korea. All the watermelon grown over there are based on the grafting only. The grafted seedlings are used only. And about 90% greenhouse cucumber, whereas 60 to 65% tomatoes and eggplants are grafted in Japan and Korea. The highest proportion of grafted seedlings are used in Mediterranean countries. And this is a standard practice to increase vigor and yield, particularly in a hydroponic greenhouse tomato cultivation in Netherlands. And almost all tomatoes grown under soilless condition are grafted. The basic purpose is to prolong the duration, crop duration, and increase the yield, vigor and yield. And here I want to show you how the grafted plants are being used. Like the China, which is the #1, followed by Japan, Korea, Spain, and Italy. And in Turkey, the right figure is from Turkey, where around 175 million grafted plants seedlings are used. This is of 2015 data, published in 2018 in Chronica Horticulture. So you see, from 2001 to 2015, the trend of increasing the use of grafted seedlings in vegetable production. today in China, more than 1,500 commercial grafting nurseries are preparing the seedlings. In Turkey, more than 100. In India, only a few. To name, VNR Seeds in Chhattisgarh, Raipur, Chhattisgarh, and surroundings, some other small nurseries are there which are producing. So in total, around 1.5 to 2 million grafted seedlings are being produced in India today. In the early 2000s, the first report comes from IHR Bangalore. Then in mid 2000, World Vegetable Centers, that is, it was earlier known as Asian Vegetable Research Development Center, that is located at Taiwan. They with TERI and Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, they organized one training for the farmers. And then in late 2000, VNR Seeds started a nursery for producing grafted seedlings. In early 2010, IHR and Akazri, another institute, they started working on the vegetable grafting. Today, in around 20 different university institutions, vegetable grafting is being practiced. In late 2010s, KVK Baramati are other institution, and then today's, as I mentioned, that VNR Seeds, which is the leading one in supplying the grafted seedlings of tomato, brinjal, muskmelon, watermelon to some extent. And I consider 2020s is the decade of vegetable grafting application, because it could not get that much attention, but now it is getting attention by the senior people at a higher level. So I hope this decade would be the decade of vegetable grafting. There are some, with regard of its importance, it is useful to manage soil-borne diseases, to alleviate abiotic stresses, to increase water and nutrient use efficiency, and finally to improve yield and quality. There are certain challenges. What are those? Are high cost when we use the seeds of two different genotypes. So we require two seeds, and that to be grown in two different trays in medias. So it adds cost. Then we require skilled labor to do grafting operation. Then today the availability of root stocks and the seedlings are less. So this is also a challenge to get these grafted seedlings. And the vegetable grafting, as I said, it takes care of the soil related issues, and this can also avoid the soil fumigation for successive cropping under greenhouse condition or under open conditions. And since it is a sustainable way of minimizing the effect of the soil-borne diseases, so we really don't need to be depend on the soil-borne disease, means fungicides. So it is good, means part of organic production. Then of course, under protected condition where we farmers do take a successive cropping, and a lot of fungicides are used, so it could be minimized, and with the use of grafted seedlings. And of course, for the home gardener, it is a good tool where 2-3 different varieties can be prepared on a single root system. Like one vigorous root stocks, at the time of grafting, sign off 2 different varieties, like one is of long brinjal, one is small brinjal, one green, one purple. This manipulation can be done with the help of grafting. It is not possible by way of breeding. And also, tomato can be grafted onto potato, so that tomato can be produced like a root system that is of potato, that would be producing tubers, potato tubers, and shoots that is of tomato, and it would produce tomato. So in home gardening, this is viable, although it is its viability is to be tested under field condition, because there is some issues. There are some general issues regarding grafting, lack of awareness. Very few people are aware, or awareness is increasing because of the seminars, symposiums, workshop, and the demonstration at different the institutions which are running the projects. Skeptical about grafting technology, considering it annual plant, because people think that grafting is possible in fruit plants which are perennial in nature, like mango, guava, grapes, apple, because where you once do grafting, you plant and it will last, it will last several years, 50, 60, 70, 100 years. But they think how it is possible in annual plants like tomato, chili, brinjal, cucumber, but it is possible because this is a simple technique. It requires a specialized nursery operation, so it will be produced, and the advantage is there. I will give throw light on that aspect later. Then there is a wrong notion that grafting plants would always lead better yield. No, it is not true. Grafting, we require a proper sign and rootstock combination for a specific purpose, or a specific sign and rootstock are required. So it is not always true that you do grafting and you will get better yield. Misconception about requiring very high specialized facilities and expertise. It is not true. Yes, up to certain level is still required some skill. It is a skillful operation, but it is not like that. Nobody can do it, or only very specialized people can do it. It can be done with the minimum required facilities. Lack of commercial rootstock. Of course, there are certain rootstocks which are available elsewhere in the world, having proven success, but they are not available in India. I'm trying to bring them. I have a good contact from other parts of the world where grafting is popular, and because of the certain reason, they are coming, but very slow. Now we have some rootstocks from Inzazade and Rizwan, Taki seeds. So, but still we need to test them to become them commercialized. VNR seeds, they have also produced some good rootstocks, and they are getting popularity. Then scientific attitude. People used to treat it as an agronomic practice. That is why they think that vegetable scientists, they are scientists. They are meant for breeding varieties, developing varieties. Who will do the agronomic? This is just agronomic practice, but it is not. You can come into breeding a rootstocks. You can come into the sign rootstock relationship, do the other like physio-biochemical changes, how it is happening, and with the help of agronomists or horticulturists, you can go for to get the success, final success of the grafting. Lack of serious efforts by public sectors. It has been ignored, but now public sectors, they are giving in passes. Researches are going on. Some breeding trials are also going on, like at IHR Bangalore. They have come up with one material, a potential material as a rootstock. So sooner or later, we are going to get rootstocks by our own, so that making this grafting venture successful in India. Of course, there is prospects in India, because in many countries, vegetable grafting has revolutionized the vegetable industry and become an integral part of the vegetable production system. But in India, it is taking place. So far, we are at very lag condition. It can be a boon to tackle regional production issues in very short time. As I said, this can take care of because it just I will show you in the slide how we will proceed. So a great deal of genetic resources are available in different vegetables, crop species within the country, and targeting to the root specific traits, we can select good material to use them as a root stocks for grafting. Then it requires conscious efforts that to be directed to harness the potential of available vast and diverse root stocks. It's need promotion, especially the research, by special call of funding for grafting research, and also need to be promoted by the in-house project, whether it is in the university or institution. They should encourage in-house projects, and the students' thesis need to be encouraged, and the research could be done in the research as well as development in public partnership mode. And then this need to be included in the university courses. Special graduate and postgraduate program should be there. Reorientation of research on rootstock development is needed. Strong extension support mechanism from the development departments needed, especially for training and demonstration of the technology. Then setup of dedicated nursery is required for vegetable grafting, and in each location, because the grafted seedlings of cucurbits particularly, it cannot be transported at far places. The grafting nursery should be located within 300 kilometers, 400 kilometers, or maximum 500 kilometers. If somebody wants the grafted plants to have from it, because of the not a good cold chain system, so 400-500, so that the seedlings could reach within a 7-8 hour period. How to proceed? What is the approach to go for? First one is to collect and screen the local materials for a specific purpose, for targeted purpose, whether it is high temperature, water stress, soil-borne diseases. So we need to screen them in the particular environment for what we are intending to do. Then we can also directly introduce already identified root stocks from by other companies, by other countries. The second step would be graft compatibility testing. We need to test the compatibility between the root stocks, identified root stock, with the scion cultivars, means the commercial variety. So it is highly needed because sometimes scion root stocks incompatibility is there. Some scion variety, commercial variety, is working well on a selected root stock, but sometimes another root scion variety is not. So we need to test them under field condition. So it is needed. Then field performance testing for final yield. Sometimes post-transplant graft incompatibility is seen. So that is why the final performance is required to be tested under field condition. Further, not only the grafting, we need to also integrate other agronomical tools such as drip irrigation, fertigation, mulching, some plant growth promoting hormones, microorganisms, organic amendments, and so on, so that we can integrate with other tools and techniques to increase the production under challenging environment or the targeted environment condition. What are the commonly used vegetables for grafting? Or the commonly grafted vegetables are tomato, brinjal, capsicum, chili also, watermelon, cucumber, muskmelon, and some others, pole bean, bitter gourd, artichoke. These have been grafted successfully. Regarding grafting process, first, as I said, selection of scion and root stocks. I already identified scion and root stocks. Once these are identified, then we take them. Then we prepare the seedlings in plug tray or pro trays. Then at a certain stage, we graft them. Then we put under healing condition, then acclimatization, and finally the transplanting is done. So this is the in nutshell the whole grafting process. Here in this slide, we can see the left slide is the top one, is the cucumber cyan cultivar. It is Y225 terminator. Here we grafted a few commercial cucumber hybrids, and the right one is the rootstock, that is interspecific cucurbita hybrid rootstocks we used, and then the grafting was performed at 12 to 15 days after sowing of the cyan seeds, and when the temperature is 32 to 32 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, take longer time at lower temperature. Then the under boxes, grafted seedlings are put under graft healing chambers, and you can see the temperature 26.6 degrees Celsius and the humidity is 85%. This is the optimum at this stage. Then finally, the testing of grafted plants in the field condition in the greenhouse. What are the grafting methods? I just go with the most important method. The first one is the splice, and the most common is the splice or single cotyledon grafting. In this grafting, one cotyledonary leaf is kept, and another one is removed along with the apical shoots. So the cyan shoots, the yellow one, upper one, is of almost uniform thickness, is attached, and the cut is made in the same way, like a 35 to 45 degree slant cut is made, then clipped. The another grafting is whole insertion. In this method, with the help of a spike tooth, the first apical portion is removed. Rootstock's apical stem portion is removed. With the help of toothpick, one small hair slant hole is made. Then the cyan slant cut cyan is inserted into it. Then tongue approach method is another approach. Most of you are aware of. This is just cyan and rootstocks grown together in the same cell of the protray, and reaching to the stage of 1 to 2 true leaf emergence. We do grafting in this way. Make a cut, one cut in the rootstock, and the cut tongue like a cut in the cyan, and we connect them, put clip, and once they united, healed up, then we cut the root portion of the cyan and the top portion of the rootstock. So the plant become independent on the root system of the rootstock. Here, how cut is performed: single cotyledon grafting. This one cotyledon leaf along with the apical shoots is removed. Then cyan is prepared like this in the middle one. Then finally it is attached to the rootstocks, and this is now grafting is done. The tongue approach, as I said, this is performed like this. The cut is made in the rootstock first, then in the cyan. This is connected, and then the clip, and it is kept in this way. Tongue approach grafting is for the beginner. It is more. It is better. It gives more success, because in this case the root system of both cyan and rootstocks are attached to, are intact in the soil, so there is no chance of building. Once they are healed up at provided temperature and humidity, then they are make independent. Then solanaceous grafting, two important grafting. One is cleft, another is tube. It is also called slant splice grafting, where the splice, like in case of cucumber, in the same way the graft cutting is made and the clip is put. Because it is tube-like clip, silicone clip is used, and it is called the tube grafting technique. And here the left one is the cleft grafting. Then both the grafting methods are used by the different nurseries. And around 20 to 25 days is old seedling is grafted in case of tomato, whereas in case of this solanaceous crop, 12 to 15 days is required at optimum temperature of 28 to 32 degrees Celsius for seedling growth. Then one another way of doing grafting is the root pruning. In this case, the root stalks seedling is taken off from the coco peat or media, perlite, whatever media it is, and then the roots are removed. Then grafting is made and put the humidity chamber. It gets rooted, and or otherwise can directly be transplanted into another new media so that it could root there. Some hormonal study was performed and found that IV at the rate of 5 ppm, it increases the rooting in the seedlings. This is another way of doing grafting, two-root grafting. It was performed by the Dodd et al. In Lancaster University, UK. He wanted to do a study if one root system is stressed, another is not, just to understand the hormonal regulation produced by the roots, particularly the abscisic acids, under water deficit and water available condition. So this is for research point of view. Then there are many robots are available. Rather, they are cobots because they require human interventions. One person is required to put the seedlings of sand, another to put the seedlings of the root stock, and this machine produces the grafted seedlings. But still, the cost is very high, and they require uniform seedlings birth, and with the success of 90%. I prefer the manual one because once something went wrong, then you require engineer. They're coming from Japan, and some other countries they are like Netherlands. They also are making robots. But if we compare the efficiency of the persons grafting watermelon, melon, cucumber, so usually around using splice grafting 240 watermelon, 223 melon seedlings can be grafted in 1 hour, whereas in tongue 190 likewise. Here there is the comparison, like 100 to 225 plants are grafted by the human being once manually grafting, whereas the robot can graft up to 300 to 1200 seedlings on an average 600 to 700 seedlings per hour. But still it is need to be tested because some issues are there in use of robots. Here, this is the graft healing or acclimatization chamber. After doing grafting, plants are kept under healing or acclimatization chamber where temperature needs to be maintained between 25 to 30 degrees Celsius for proper healing. Initially for 48 hours to 36 hours, the humidity level should be 95% or to 100%, and gradually it reduced with the initially under dark condition for 2 to 3 days, depending on the season and the species. When the humidity is reduced, partial light is provided, and the minimum humidity level is reduced towards the end of the healing or acclimatization is 75% with the full light of the greenhouse. Healing is the most critical period, which lasts for 4 to 5 days in different species. Then acclimatization period, then hardening period that is required for every grafted seedlings before it goes to the outside environment, whether it is the greenhouse, soil, or coco peat medium, where finally the production is being taken. This is how the grafting is done for the research purpose. Here we maintain the relative humidity and temperature because after grafting, put the lid of the box, almost 95 to 100% humidity is maintained. As per the need, we can regulate the temperature, humidity inside by opening and closing of the lids. For a small scale, it is okay. But for larger scale, for the nursery people, the commercial way of doing like this. This is the way of, after grafting, seedlings are put in this kind of a structure where these are covered with the one layer of polythene so that humidity cannot be escaped. Then one black or two layer of green shade net to avoid any light entry into this healing chamber for 2 to 3 days. After 2 to 3 days, we remove this this black shade net. Then we provide the normal light, and regulation of humidity and temperature is done while keeping and removing this polythene. Then once they are hardened, means they are acclimatized, they are removed. Everything is removed and put for the hardening, and finally to the field. How the VNR seed company is doing? They are doing brinjal, tomato in this way. They are using non-woven fabric, and they are fogger on the top of the below the shade net, movable shade net. So they create humidity by fogging, creating fog outside the seedlings, not inside, above the level of this non-woven fabric in this way. So their water droplet is not coming into the contact with the seedlings, and so that there is no chance of any contamination. If the water is contamination, there is some bacteria or something, or going to the cut point, and they may attract some diseases. Then one of our entrepreneurs which we developed at Kazri, he is producing grafted seedlings. Of course, he has been producing, he has tried and has been producing some seedlings, but when he came to approach to us, and we shared our technique, and now he is successfully growing grafted seedlings, and now he is supplying the grafted seedlings in the Rajasthan, like at 30-40,000. So we have already in this month he was able to supply, and the demand is increasing because of the benefit of the grafted seedlings used in particularly in greenhouse, polyhouse conditions where solvent disease is a major problem, besides high temperature, salinity, and so on. These are some low-cost structures where high humidity is higher, like in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, West Bengal. This kind of method can be followed by the farmers. They can put water, flood water, and put polythene and put shade net so that they can create humidity and a little bit lower temperature. It could sustain tomato and brinjal up to 35 degrees Celsius, no issue. We give some trainings to the trainers, and we are demonstrating how the grafting is performed. Then some technical issue, what makes grafting successful? As I said, the compatibility is the most important criteria to select scion and rootstocks, and this is the one which is very well connected. Means we have high compatibility or good compatibility, but this is having incompatibility scion, where Solanum torvum was used as a rootstock and tomato as a scion, because the root system is very extensive and vigorous, but the stem it is like a more woody. So, but tomato, hybrid tomato, high vigorous variety of tomato, they grow very vigorously. That's why the stem gets thicker than the scion. So we see this kind of incompatibility in the field condition at the later stage. So it also restricts movement of water. Although the fruit quality is far better than the normal tomato or grafted tomato onto the root system of tomato, but the production gets depressed under normal condition. But the condition where there is some challenging condition where soil-borne diseases or other issues are there, we don't have material to graft. properly and to utilize the benefit of tomato grafting. So brinjal or thormum is used as a root stock. It is beneficial there. Cambial contact is one criteria. Sometimes when we perform grafting, we see the issues. There is a need to have a better cambial contact. If the sign and root stocks orientation is perfect, then we have the first kind of sign in the alignment, grafting alignment in root stock and sign, and middle one is also adequate to give us success. Like in this picture, you see this is perfect alignment. Here even alignment is disturbed. So if there is alignment like this, we face an issue. There is a less area, less connection of the vascular tissues. So there is a restriction in flow, movement of water and nutrients from upward to down and vice versa in case of the phloem flow. So another thing is there should not be much difference in the girth of a sign and root stock. As much as the girth of the both sign and the root system is closer, the survival rate is higher. So this is another criteria, and the optimal girth of the tomato seedlings is like 1.8 to 2.2, 2.3, maximum 2.4 millimeter. Then pressure, which is given by the appropriate grafting clips. There are several grafting clips like silicone clips, normal, like we use for cloths, and a smaller one like that. And these are the different kind of clips are available in the market, and some other too. So these clips are, the selection of clip is very important, and for different species, different varieties, and they can differ. So there should not be less pressure at the graft juncture, and also not much pressure. So it should be very optimum, so that there is no extra or less pressure that would allow harm the tissues, or that would not be able to connect them properly. So we need to take care of this issue, not just using any clip for any kind of a species. So we need to understand by way of doing by ourselves, we will understand which clips. Although these are already, like this clip you can use for both tomato and the cucumber. This is also for cucumber, watermelon, muskmelon, and this is also for cucurbits. But these are for small, with the small holes like 1.6, 1.7, 1.8 up to 1.9 mm. So for tomato, capsicum, and brinjal, likewise. So another one is avoid tissue desiccation. For that, we need to maintain proper relative humidity and temperature, so that graft healing can be better, or what we want to really, we need to achieve that level. For that, we require optimum condition. Then how vegetable grafting affects the plant's performance. Vegetable grafting is grafted seedlings are very important for fungal diseases, bacterial, root knot. These are the common problem associated with the vegetable production. To tackle soil-borne diseases, we perform studies, continuous study, and the protected condition. Under protected cultivation, this is very severe issues when we don't do soil sterilization, fumigation, and we continuously, our farmers continuously growing cucumber after cucumber. So there is chance of build-up of soil-borne diseases like Fusarium, Pythium, Phytophthora, Sclerotinia, depending on the area and region, like a high humidity, bacterial wilt, Ralstonia, and other species. So we here, like in this case, Pythium, Phytophthora, Microphyma, Fusarium were observed in our condition, and we compare the performance of non-grafted. The wilted one, they are non-grafted, and the greener one, they are grafted onto root stocks of hybrid Cucurbita maxima marshata, that is interspecific hybrid root stocks, and also the root stocks of bottle gourd. we found good success in different conditions. In winter, some other rootstocks in summer. These are the common issues like a damping off due to Pythium, Rhizoctonia, and even Pythium in the cucumber. This is very severe disease. Fusarium wilt, gummy stem blight. So these are the issues. This is the case of verticillium wilt, where grafted watermelon, there is no symptom of any disease. Whereas non-grafted watermelon, commercial watermelon, it is totally devastated because of this verticillium wilt. And you see the disease severity in non-grafted and the one which is just self-grafted. Means the non-grafting or self-grafting means the same genotypes having root system and cyan. But the grafted one, the cyan is of the same variety, but the root system is of like a strong tosa, which is the resistant rootstocks available for cucumber and watermelon in European countries and Israel and other parts of the world. The same in the same the bacterial wilt. The tomato tested under bacterial wilt infested condition. Here, the interesting finding is that Maxifort is the best rootstocks available across the world for grafting tomato. But under bacterial wilt condition, where Ralstonia solanacearum, for that it is susceptible. But for fusarium wilt, for verticillium wilt, for other, and for increasing yield under different condition, it is one of the best rootstocks or other best rootstock. But here it is showing highest incidence of wilt. But here Cheonggang, which is the resistant rootstocks to the bacterial wilt, is showing very, very less. It is tolerant rootstock rather. And there are some breeding lines from private sectors, breeding lines like CRA and DP. These lines showing very, very less symptom of bacterial wilt when they were used as a rootstock. The interesting thing is that when breeding line was used, that is very cheaper. That is OP variety that you can seeds we can recover. But this hybrid rootstock, the seed cost is very high, and we need to be dependent on the companies. Of course, this is also from company, but the seed production is cheaper. That's why the price of this variety is cheaper. So there is no much difference between the commercial available hybrid rootstock and the breeding line. So this can result good. This can be a good tool. Means this can be used and produce grafted seedlings for particular disease condition. And the Maxifort, it was worst among the all. When even it produced less fruits than what was produced by the non-grafted or commercial tomato variety. Another report is of root knot nematode. How grafting is useful under nematode infested soil condition. Then again Maxifort was used as a rootstock. Big power, it produced it. There is a minimum or 0 gall percentage was found, and in another cases it differed. And the self-grafted or non-grafted, they were like at a scaling of 1 to 12 and this index, and they were worst like these. In non-grafted plants, the root knot nematode infestation was very, very severe. And in terms of yield, non-grafted plants produce somewhere 20 tons, 20 pounds per plot. This is because this is the case of USA. So here Buford, that was found the best among all the rootstocks compared. You see the Maxifort, which is having root knot gall infection up to 4% at a 4 level, but the production is comparable, or it is not comparable. Means this is similar to that given by the best rootstock. It means the Maxifort rootstock is having good tolerance to this nematode. Although nematode infestations are there, but it could survive well and produce well. Then grafting is also beneficial to eliminate the issues of soil fumigation. Here, it is the case of the cumulative yield and the fumigated or non-fumigated, grafted and non-grafted tomato. The blue and the orange line showing in this graph, they are the fumigated, non-grafted, and the non-grafted fumigated. Means, whereas this the non-fumigated, non-grafted, these are producing very, very less. Whereas this one, fumigated, non-grafted, even without doing fumigation in grafted tomato, but the yield is much higher than what is getting from grafted, non-grafted, and even fumigated plants. So here it is clear that without doing fumigation, if pathogens are there, their severity is there. So with the help of grafting, plants are able to produce good amount of fruits. In case of watermelon, there is so far no availability was there root stock which could tolerate or which could tackle both the issues, root knot, nematode, and fusarium wilt. But USDA with the help of the South Carolina University, they produce one root stocks, that is OP root stocks, open pollinated, and that is having both the resistant to fusarium wilt and root knot nematode, and it is now becoming available in their country. Here, this is the list of most commonly used root stocks available across the world, and having resistance to different diseases, and within the disease, different races. Even the fusarium wilt caused by race 1 is different than the race 2. Likewise, so verticillium wilt. So as I said, Maxifort, which is the most important root stock, is having high resistance to different diseases and moderate resistance to nematode, is susceptible to bacterial wilt. But for others, it is best root stocks. Likewise, B4. B4 is also a good one. RST, Big Power, and these are the very important root stocks. We hope that one day we will be having, or we are breeding, our country is having the root stock performing at part to these root stock. What is the takeaway message? Grafting can minimize the effect of soil-borne diseases, and it can also minimize the use of chemicals which is required for fumigation and the fungicides to control the diseases in the standing crops itself. Then second, in abiotic stresses, the moisture stress is one issues, which is sometimes it is when water is available in good amount, even though plants feel stress, because when the cycle of application of water is longer, then plant will experience the stress-like condition. And second one, where water is less, we need to use water very judiciously. There are methods like a regulated deficit irrigation, like we give less water than the required optimal water, or partial root zone drying, irrigating alternatively. So by this way, we can save some amount of water. Studies shows that grafted watermelon perform much better than the non-grafted one in terms of water saving and also increasing yield. 60% yield increase was found when 50% water was applied both the plants of what the optimal water was needed by them. Here, this is the result. We also performed a study on cucumber where we used grafted, non-grafted cucumber, grafted on different root stocks. And here you can see in this picture, we supplied 75% less, 40% less water. We are giving 60% of the required water every day And this is just before giving water in the next morning. The picture you can see how the plants are wilted, whereas these plants are well, means water. When plant loses water, the leaf tissues become wilted because there is no water. Water keeps them straight. Leaves keep straight. But here they are straight, but here they become down. So there is a loss of water. That because of that, the plants are showing wilting symptom. This ultimately affect the plant's performance for the yield. Even the leaf margin, you can see the leaf margins are yellow, but in the grafted plants, no. Because when there is less water, there is less nutrient movement, and ultimately plants is performing at a lesser rate, whether it is growth or yield. And in terms of water saving, to produce 1 kilogram of cucumber, if we use Terminator as a control plant, the hybrid Terminator is a hybrid cultivar or variety, hybrid, popular hybrid of cucumber, which require 35.9, around 36 liters of water to produce 1 kg of cucumber. Whereas the grafted plants require only 27 liters of water to produce 1 kg. So here, per kg produced, there is a lot of water saving. And at the minimum water supplying condition, that is was 40% less water supply condition, compared to 33 liters, 24 liters water was required to produce 1 kg of cucumber. Likewise, in tomato, the best root stocks grafting could reduce the water requirement from 44 liters to 36 or 36 liters of water to produce 1 kg of tomato under polyhouse condition. So this grafting can result to not only increasing the yield under normal condition, but also increasing water use efficiency and nutrient use efficiency by through better absorption of nutrient and water from vigorous root system. We published how the root system affects the shoot's physiology to increase the tolerance of the plants. So I'm not going in detail, just I wanted to highlight the roots, vigorous root system. They increase the water availability in the leaves, in the shoots, and finally the water and nutrient as well into the fruits, thereby producing more yield as compared to the normal non-grafted plants. Another case is flooding, where flash flood is a common issue. In some areas, during rainy season, there is a rain and the severe rain and the water is stagnant for longer period, like 3, 4, 5 days. And for 4 or 5 days, like in the case of bitter gourd, watermelon, the case from this is from Etisir, from Turkey, and also the case in tomato from Bahadur et al. From IIVR Varanasi, Bhatt et al. From IHR Bangalore. And there are a number of studies, few studies rather, not many. There are only 4 or 5 studies where it has been shown that grafting tomato onto the brinjal root stocks, selected brinjal, identified brinjal root stocks, not every root stocks, it increases the flood resistance or tolerance in the tomato plants. Whereas tomato could not sustain for more than 2 days if water is stagnant. But the grafted tomato plants can survive up to 6 to 7 days. How? Here you see, these are the non-grafted normal tomato plants, and these are the grafted plants. This is the picture of 3 days after putting water, means submerging the plants in the water. So, and another 2 to 3 days they are going to survive, and finally they are going to give a yield, much better, means yield, but they are not going to give any fruits after 7 days of exposure to the such kind of conditions. So what is the takeaway message? Grafting can help increase produce per unit water use. Also increased tolerance to water stress, whether it is less water or excess water. Increased possibility to grow under water deficit condition. Where cultivation is not being done, it is possible to grow the crop in those conditions also. Next is the salinity. Salinity affects in three ways to the plant. One is the osmotic stress, means if water contains more salt, then there is a less movement of water, extraction of water because of the change in the osmotic potential. Then water stress can occur, means less water movement into the plant system and finally the leaves. Then sometimes when sodium and chloride's presence in the water is in toxic range, when it is saline, then they interact with the beneficial essential elements and they have direct damaging effect to the cells. So they have toxic effects and the nutritional imbalance, they compete, like a sodium competes with the potassium. Cations competes with the another cations. For that reason, the nutrient imbalances or nutrient deficiency symptoms occur under salinity conditions. How grafting affects? You see, the pumpkin, when pumpkin was taken, just pumpkin, and here is the case of muskmelon. These both the plants were exposed to the salinity, and the cell sap, xylem from xylem sap, cell sap was extracted, analyzed, and the sodium concentration was presented here. In xylem sap exhibit, तो मैं एक लेक्चर ले रहा हूँ, बाद में कॉल करेंगे? हाँ, मैं लेक्चर लूँगा थोड़ी देर। हाँ, आप आ जाइए। So sorry. And here you see the muskmelon, the sodium content is very, very high. While in case of pumpkin, the sodium concentration is very low. Whereas the chloride concentration was there, but not as much as high as in case of muskmelon. The next, the same were grafted. The earlier one was simply they were exposed and analyzed for sodium and chloride. When the pumpkin was used at root stock, here in case of grafting or without grafting, then what happens? Sodium concentration is very low as was in earlier slide. When pumpkin was grafted with pumpkin, again the concentration of sodium is very less. It means sodium concentration in the leaves, in shoots. And when pumpkin was used at rootstock, but sodium concentration in muskmelon is also very low. Means where pumpkin is used, pumpkin roots are there. This is not allowing sodium or chloride, particularly sodium, to go to the shoots. In this way, the shoot system is not getting more sodium. That is why that is able to tolerate high level of salinity. As in this case, it is shown. It is, but reverse. Sorry, this is in the roots. In pumpkin, the sodium concentration is very much high. It means plants are taking sodium but not supplying to the shoots. They are just accumulating inside the roots. So maybe the sodium or chloride concentration are taken by the plants, different plants are uniform, but the supply is less and accumulation is high. Then here sodium concentration in shoot, the first one was in the xylem, and here this is the grafted one. Muskmelon is grafted, sodium concentration in wherever it is used is higher, wherever pumpkin is used as a root stocks is lower. Then watermelon grafting, grafted and non-grafted watermelon were compared under field condition, supplied with the water of 4.5 decisiemens per meter. P means 4.5 EC level, which is very high for the watermelon. Here the performance is visible. The back side is the grafted one, the front side watermelon, they are the non-grafted one, and the yield increase was almost 100%, 80%, from 59 tons per hectare to 98 tons per hectare. This is the study of Israel. Actually, it was done by one of my co-supervisor, who is the one of who has done a lot of studies. For previous slides was also from him only, and he was my PhD supervisor in Italy. He was for some sabbatical leaves there for study. Then the same salinity was tested in cucumber, grafted cucumber, non-grafted cucumber. Here the concentration of the yield increase or in comparison to normal decrease was the more in case of non-grafted, whereas the grafted decrease was lesser. Means if we grow cucumber or tomato under very adverse condition, it doesn't mean that they will produce the best, means what we expect under normal condition. No, the reduction or loss will be lesser. They protect the losses, not exactly they produce abundantly like we are expecting in the normal condition, because there is salt, there is interaction, there is a lot of interaction is going on with the other nutrients in different ways. It is going to affect the plant's physiology and biochemistry, finally the growth and yield. Then again, sodium concentration evaluated and found lesser in non-grafted here. Then these are the difference when grafted, non-grafted plants were used, and we published in Scientia Horticulture. And here you can see the yield, how yield in the grafted one is as compared to the non-grafted. Of course, the yield level was the maximum in non-grafted one under normal condition. But when salinity is there, the yield is higher in case of grafted cucumber. What is the mechanism behind? We published in 2020 only, and in the agronomy, we explained how grafting affects the sign physiology, biochemistry, and under salinity conditions in case of tomato. Then these are some important rootstocks in different studies have been found to be useful for increasing salinity tolerance in tomato, eggplant, watermelon, cucumber. Eggplant means brinjal. The takeaway message is grafting can increase tolerance to salinity. And one more thing I want to add, in the area like in Rajasthan, Western Rajasthan, where water is saline, always the EC is like a 2.5, 3 and 3.5, and where normal production is not possible. So with the help of this grafting techniques, we can increase the production productivity and the quality of the vegetables. And this is a normal experiment where we can see these are the non-grafted, grafted onto the different rootstocks. The performance of grafted cucumber is far better than the non-grafted one under normal condition. Here, and you see the leaves are dark green and the light green when they are exposed to high temperature, grown under summer crop. This is the summer crop. And to increase the vigor of plant vigor, like I mentioned earlier, that grafting is an important tool in the soilless cultivation system in case of tomato, particularly in the Netherlands, where long growing cycle is required. They want to produce more yield. They are producing 75 kg of tomato, 78 kg tomato from 1 square meter area. That is only possible when they are using vigorous rootstocks like Maxifort and other rootstocks. So grafting can increase the vigor, plant growing season of the tomato, cucumber, and whatever it is. We studied in our condition at Jodhpur. Here, two-stem grafting was a study on two-stem grafting, two leader system stem. Normally, single stem tomato cultivation is being practiced in our country. Only in few countries, few growers, they produce double stem or multiple stem production, but mostly it is being practiced single stem. But we practiced two stem, and we found that the production of both the stems performing, they are growing well and giving, it means the yield level is the 60%, 70% increase in yield was found as compared to single stem training system. It is just training system. We are now performing studies where we are, this is the second season where we are performing double leader system on the grafted plants. And here you see, these are the grafted with the lowering operation, and they are getting the yield more than 75 kg per square meter. And you see the difference in the root system of the grafted plants and non-grafted plants. So this can also increase the fruit quality traits, like in muskmelon, when they are grafted onto the different rootstocks. Lycopene content got increased in case of, but it is very, very specific case, because there is issues when watermelon is grafted onto the squash interspecific cucurbita hybrids. It is not always true that you get the fruits of good quality. Some issues arises there, but there are the rootstocks, cyan, specific cyan and rootstock combination, proven combination that produce good quality fruits too. Not only the yield. The yield is increased by 100%. You simply do grafting in watermelon, you can get the yield level from 50 to 100% increase. But maybe the quality will be reversed. It is not always true, but it can happen. But in specific cases, it can also increase the quality. Then giveaway message is grafting can increase the yield and quality of the fruiting vegetables. I add fruiting vegetable, not all the vegetable, where the fruits are of economic importance in case of vegetables, whether it's tomato, brinjal, capsicum, or watermelon, muskmelon, even pods. Then the nutrient use efficiency, they also increases the nutrient use efficiency. This experiment was the Kola, who was my PhD supervisor. He performed a study in the muskmelon and found this the rootstocks, these grafted plants, the right side. These are the grafted plants, the lower side, and the upper one are the normal plants. And at different millimolar nitrate concentration, these were applied and found the performance of grafted plants was much better than the normal one. And under field condition, they evaluated and found the good result. And they found the increase by 18%, 14% in nitrogen use efficiency. Then it can increase the nutrient use efficiency. Then further, suboptimal temperature or temperature stress. Suboptimal means low temperature. At lower temperature, normally for temperature, for tomato, minimum 30 degrees Celsius temperature means optimum, the range is 13 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. Within that, below 13 degrees Celsius, there is chance of reduction in yield. Of course, because of the difficulty in the root system to take up water and nutrient optimally. Likewise, in cucumber, 18 degrees Celsius, we did a study in our condition, and here I present the temperature range during the growing cycle from December to March. So here, the red line is the optimum level of temperature that required for optimum growth of tomato, but the temperature, daily temperature was lower, went close to 10 degrees Celsius. Sometimes it went to the 5 to 6 degrees Celsius, but here it is average temperature. So that ultimately affected the growth and yield of the cucumber. And here we can see how these are affected. The normal cucumber plant could produce 3 kg per plant, whereas the yield in cucumber grafted under fig leaf guard. Fig leaf guard is it is Cucurbita fusifolia. This is widely grown in woody region and some other regions where temperature is lesser, and it is like a weed. And this is very winter hardy Cucurbita species. So we use this as a rootstock and found very promising result, and we published this in Journal of Environmental Biology. And you see the performance. Now I put this sweater. You can see during winter it is performing very well in January, February. So, and this is how did it happen? The grafting enhanced the nutrient elements concentration in the leaf. It enhanced the fruit, root growth, and improve the leaf and dry mass of the leaf area, leaf biomass, another thing. Then again, one study performed to assess the effect of high temperature stress. The performance of grafting on high temperature stress, in particularly in case of tomato, because usually in tomato, the price of tomato during July, August, September, October is very much high. You see the past 10 years data, the price of tomato goes 50 to 80 rupees kg, not less than 40 rupees kg in any year. So why? Because in North Indian conditions, it is very difficult to grow tomato under open field condition during summer or planting in April, February, March, April, and that could last July, August, September, because it is 6 to 9 month crop. But it is very difficult. But we are trying to develop technology by way of grafting, by which we could produce tomato at more than 45 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Celsius temperature. And this is initial result that is encouraging. When we grafted onto the brinjal rootstocks, we could produce tomato at even 45 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, normal plants or tomato grafted on tomato, they got wilted. Similar was the case with the cucumber. When we performed studies in cucumber and grown under a high temperature condition, where temperature goes up to 48 degrees Celsius, 49 degrees Celsius inside the polyhouse. And we observed that the performance of grafted tomato was, you see the fruits at 44 degrees Celsius temperature. You have good fruits at the upper training system. But in case of in the behind, you see the non-grafted cucumber, they got wilted. So this is showing the promisingness of this grafting, wonderful grafting techniques. So there are several reasons. Oxidative stress, lower the oxidative stress because of the induction of antioxidant enzymes and other beneficial biomolecules, which help to minimize the impact of heat stress at cellular level. That is why ultimately affecting the growth and the performance of the plants. We also demonstrated grafting technology at farmers' field. Our farmers who transplanted the grafted cucumber with the non-grafted ones under his non-naturally ventilated polyhouse field condition. And the crop last May 2020, this year during lockdown, he was selling his produce. And you see the left one is the grafted one, the right one is the non-grafted one. And according to him, the yield increase was more than 50%. And the reduction also, he observed less foliar diseases. Like you right hand side, you see more foliar diseases. Means his suggestion was that we could reduce the level of pesticides, especially the fungicide, up to great level. And also he lost around 5 to 10% seedling from the soil-borne diseases. That was also another case. We could, not a single plant was died because of soil-borne diseases. In his 500 plants out of 3,000 plants, 2,500 plants were non-grafted, 500 plants were grafted in 1,000 square meter greenhouse. Then finally, grafting can also alleviate heat stress. Another is excess copper toxicity. Although copper is also required, essential element required in very minute quantity, but in some irrigation water, it is at high level, so it also take care of the plants against copper toxicity. So it minimizes the toxic effect on the plants and increases the yield. Again, similarly, in case of boron, this can also increase tolerance of cucumber, muskmelon, watermelon to the high excess boron level. In some municipal wastewater, there is chance of boron, copper, and other heavy metals are more. So it can minimize the effect of excess toxicity. Here, the upper one is the non-grafted one, lower one is the grafted one. Even at high level of boron, excessive boron level, the root system, pumpkin root system of root stock is very means much higher, much better than the what normal is doing. Then heavy metals. This was my study during my graduation, means PhD, where I performed grafting trials on a series of grafting experiments. 4 grafting experiments I performed. Cadmium, nickel stress, salinity. So tomatoes were grown under soilless condition, hydroponic conditions, giving very precise quantity of nutrients as well as heavy metals. Controlled level was maintained, and this is the result. Up to 37% less cadmium content was found in the fruits of tomato. Means when farmers are growing vegetable, fruits, whatever crop, in conditions where heavy metals accumulations are high, or the wastewater they are using, they might have a high level of sodium, mercury, cadmium, lead, copper, boron, and many others. So in that condition, the plants are not only going to suffer, ultimately we are also going to suffer, because we are taking those food, and when we are taking, there is chance of injection of the heavy metals in our body. And as per the recommendation, European Union recommendation, 0.5 microgram cadmium we can take maximum per week, but not more than that. So, but if we grow at excessive high level of heavy metals, so there is chance of accumulation of the heavy metals in the fruits what we are eating, like in palak, in spinach and radish, and those are being grown and harvested from sewage sludge water. There is chance of heavy metal accumulation, because they are hyper accumulator also. Although the tomato is not a hyper accumulator, this is milder accumulator, and most of the parts of the heavy metals are accumulated and retained in the root system itself, and this allow to shoots part of it, and then from leaves to fruits only part of it. Still we have a very much higher concentration. This is the concentration in the leaf, fruits, and roots. When cadmium was grown at different, means tomato was grown at different level of cadmium. Similarly, in case of nickel, the yield level was much higher. Here the yield of grafted plants grown under heavy metal condition was higher. Similarly, in the nickel, it was higher. World Vegetable Center, ABRDC Taiwan, they have identified or developed some good root stocks, like in case of tomato, Hawaii 7996, which is reported to be resistant to the bacterial wilt and fusarium wilt. And this is the good root stock for tomato, where tomato is under high temperature condition and high moisture condition. This can be used as an important root stock. Eggplant accesses, means brinjal accession, 2 accessions have been identified which can tolerate flooding, bacterial wilt, root knot nematode. When tomato or brinjal are grafted onto these root system and root stock. These are the root stocks available, commercially available in India. VNR Seeds are selling the seeds of these root stock, Maximo Legacy, Charas, and Silverfield, Gracia, Solatus, Solana. And we are having some root stock identified. IAVR people, they have identified for waterlogging, we have for vigor, yield, and drought stress conditions. So these are the root stocks available for different purposes. These are the list of the companies who are selling the seeds of root stocks, different root stocks. And this is the e-resource where students, particularly, and academicians, they can visit, they can learn, develop more understanding, literatures, videos, and many things are available in these e-resources. And whether it is vegetable grafting platform or World Vegetable Center, VRDC, VNR Seeds websites, IHR, APR videos on flooding available. IAVR APRs and bulletins are available. Kaiser APRs and websites. Vegetable grafting book. I am also among the authors of books for a book chapter on abiotic stress. In this vegetable grafting book, that is a textbook of vegetable grafting, published by Kavi International UK. In the conclusion, I conclude it, the grafting has potential to alleviate biotic and abiotic stresses. Advantages of grafting is depend on the species. For Solanaceous, for Cucurbitaceous, we require different strategies. Result on Cucurbitaceae means like a cucumber, watermelon, muskmelon kind of plants. For Solanaceae, tomato, brinjal, chili, different kind of system is required. The root stock sign, their compatibility is need to be assessed wisely, because for assimilate distribution, whatever nutrient water is flowing, or whether vice versa up and down, these interaction, this is called shine root stocks interaction. This is need to be assessed, and the advantages depend on these characteristics. Osteonic effect, the shine root stock interaction effect, interaction with other conditions. When one grafted plant is grown in one condition, it is not necessarily that would perform similarly in the other kind of climatic or nutrition condition. Like whether it is related to the soil type, related to the environment, or other management operation. Like in one grafted seedlings is good for the open field condition, and another is good for the greenhouse condition. So these are the advantages depend on the type of material or sign growth of combinations for what these are grafted. Effects on taste and health related characteristics are interesting, but not always clear and need further research. As I said, if you get good yield or very big yield, particularly in case of watermelon, it is an issue, but not in other cases. Sometimes in muskmelon, when you get much yield, it is not necessarily that fruit quality is also of great level. I end up this slide with showing a brinjal tree. This is one in Tamil Nadu, Dhopur district, Dhampuri region. There is one brinjal that is like a brinjal tree. It is grafted onto the root stalks of Solanum sorghum, and they are growing it like a tree. So it is possible by way of doing grafting using resistant, tolerant, vigorous root stock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep Kumar. You have presented very nice lecture on vegetable grafting.
Thank you.
Because that is the new area in protected cultivation, and in Northeast, this Northeast India is also major. This protected cultivation is a major area.
Good.
So that's why I calling you in between. Within 5 minutes, you receive my acceptance. So that is thank you for.
Thank you.
So some question is coming from the from participant. One question is, can vegetable grafting solve the problem of viral diseases? Hello, Pradeep, you unmute yourself.
Yeah, I follow. Recently, there are few studies, 1 or 2 studies have come up this year only, demonstrating that the issues of virus can also be tackled. But it is just in the beginning. It is the beginning. But I hope, yes, this could be tackled sooner or later, because just a few studies have come up on this aspect.
Okay. Then another question is coming.
Now you are muted.
Okay. No muted. You are. So another question is,
cannot hear. I think
is the new grafted plants genetically changed or only physiologically change coming from the root stock?
Sorry, I cannot get you. I'm
You
not
see
getting
question answer. You see in your side, na? This question answer is coming. Question answer.
I'm sorry.
Question answer is there. That they.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Actually, Dr. Haldar, I cannot hear you. I can read by myself.
No problem.
Allow and answer.
Okay, no problem.
Am I audible?
Audible. Okay.
So, I will take question from the last one first. What is the best protocol for micropropagation of vegetative? Actually, micropropagation is different than the vegetable grafting. This is a part of tissue culture, micropropagation, where nestem culture is done. So please contact the tissue culture experts. Is the new grafted plant genetically changed or only physiologically changed coming from the root stock? No, actually there is no flow of any gene. Only the physiological activity is going to be changed, because DNA is not going to be transferred. It is just messenger RNA that linked with the protein. For the functional part is going to be transferred, not the DNA. So no issue of transfer of any genetic character. If wild rootstocks is used for grafting and there is an improvement in a flower variety, what are the conditions to call it as a new variety? I'm sorry, I'm not really able to give the answer because it is related to flower. It is good question. I will try to find the answer. Yeah, it is good question. Okay, but I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer. Can vegetable grafting solve the problem of viral diseases? Okay, this was the question which I took in the beginning. Is there any question to take up, or any general question by any audience?
No, any question is there. Hello?
Actually, Dr. Haldar, really, I cannot listen you.
No, my voice is not coming.
Anybody else can try if I can hear.
Hello, Pradeep Kumar.
Probably you are having some
hello, Pradeep Kumar.
Issues with your
hello
speaker connectivity.
Pradeep Kumar.
Anybody else you can invite and join, who can help us. Help us to understand